Well, good morning, Agape. All right, let's say it a little louder. Good morning, Agape. All right, my name is Veronica Valles. I'm deeply grateful to be here. And before we begin, take a deep breath with me. Just inhale deeply. Exhale. Let everything out. Let's take another deep breath together. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling. Now, with soft eyes, I want you to look at the person next to you. And I don't want you to see the personality. I want you to see the presence of God. Now, turn around and look at someone else. See, I hear the giggling, because life is the delight of the divine. I always like to bring us to this awareness, the full awareness that we're standing in every moment in the presence of God. That our very life is the life of God. And we're anchored in that awareness in every moment. When Reverend Lee invited me to speak, I asked him what was the topic, and he said, the power of imagination. He said, we're committed to our spiritual practice, to our life, to greater living, greater joy, greater love. And I thought, perfect. Because in every moment, in every way, we are actually dreaming our world into being. And what I love about our movement, we're doing it consciously. Albert Einstein has this quote. He says, logic will take you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. And in every ministerial class I've been in, I thought my teachers were being original. Then I saw the pattern. I'm like, they're all saying the same quote. Imagination is more powerful than knowledge. It goes back to Albert Einstein. So we're going to move today through 3 different ways in which we can express our life to the fullness and the wholeness of who we are. We're going to tune into our intuition and inspiration. We're going to turn on our imagination, and we're going to take it out into the world as innovation. My dear friend Jody Roberts, who's here, I did a sacred sound healing session with her. And what came through was that clarity of that I create reality. And the I that creates reality is the I am, the divine magnificence. And the am and I am is authentic magnificence. When we stand in the awareness that our life is a unique, fabulous, delicious expression of God, and that we live in this world of pure potentiality, then we, through our very consciousness, our very nature, get to create our life in the way that we choose, the way that we desire. But first step is first. We must recognize that we live in this infinite field of possibilities. And infinite is just this expansive awareness that God is all there is. There's no spot where God is not. And that infinite potentiality lives, breathes, moves, and has its being in, as, and through us. And guess what? It's perfect. It is perfect in every moment. So in understanding the I am that I am, when I create reality, I am surrendering to that greater knowingness, that greater beauty, that greater love, that greater joy, that greater abundance that is God expressing in, as, and through my life. And when we come together, we get to hold that awareness in our lives. So sometimes we hear this term that, hey, think outside of the box. Well, I got news for you. There's no box in God. There's absolutely no box. It is this infinite potentiality. You get to dream it up in every moment. So with our spiritual tools and our spiritual practices, we get to come into this world every moment, every day, every breath, anchoring in that awareness that God is all there is. My life is the life of God, the I am that I am, and dream it into being. Now, I have 7 nieces and nephews, and I've watched them, from the moment they were born growing up. And the thing that I love of having been in their lives and them being in my lives is that power of imagination. So, the great master teacher said, be as little children. It's unstoppable. You get around them, their energy is infectious. They're joyous. They're dreaming up worlds. I was with my niece, Macy, when she was about 4, and we were outside, and we found this turquoise crayon. And I looked at her, and she looked at me. I'm like, let's go on an adventure. And I'm like, okay. And so I just picked it up, and I drew this big door. And she looked at me, and she goes, where are we going? I'm like, wherever you want to go. And so it was called our mystical, magical carpet ride through multi-dimensional doors. And so in that moment, we went through and we traversed purple skies and planets that were like bubbles, and you bounced around. And we spent that whole day playing in our imagination. And when you play in your imagination, you create wonder. You create worlds of possibilities. There's no stop and there's no box. There's just this infinite possibility. And guess what? It is within us. So when Reverend Lee talked about commitment last week, the power of imagination supports your commitment every day in every way. You get to imagine your world. You get to decide what it is you're seeking to express. You get to magnetically draw all that it is you're seeking to reveal in your life. We're not going to turn on the news and listen to what we should be doing at what age. You should be doing this. You should be wearing that. You should be looking like this. Absolutely not. You stand in the awareness that your life is unique, that your life is magnificent, that you are the one expressing so fully and powerfully. And in every moment, in every way, you choose. You get to decide. The dreaming opens us up to the possibilities. Ernest Holmes says that imagination is the fire of heaven, and that's what it feels like. So who in this room has ignited their imagination at some point in their life and watched it come into fruition? Anybody? We all have. And that's the practice. The moment we choose, the moment we decide, the moment we step into this awareness. So about, I don't even know how long ago it was 1993. I was in the midst of an experience of a long-term illness. I was told by this renowned endocrinologist that I would never get well. Now, from head to toe, I was sicker than a dog. It was a 9-year journey, but I held the image of me perfect, whole, and complete. I held the thought, I don't know where I'll be, I don't know what I'll be doing, but I am healthy, I am vibrant, I am the strength of God. And every day, even when pain was present, I didn't allow the pain to lead the way. I had to transform from this is my experience, but what am I imagining? And it was a journey. But guess what? I'm standing here, perfect, healthy, whole, complete. This is the gift that we give ourselves when we declare to the universe this and something greater, when we spend time daily in our affirmative prayer, in affirmations, and meditation, and envisioning, when we anchor ourselves in that awareness that, oh, I live in this infinite playground, and it is mine to choose, and I am choosing in this moment. And we choose from our greater good. There are studies that are done that says we're always using our imagination, but the majority of time people are worrying. Been there, done that, sneaks in. And when it sneaks in, I have friends, I have my partner, I have prayer partners who remind me of the spiritual truth. Veronica, doubt does not have power. Limitation does not have power. Lack does not exist in God. And just taking a deep breath into that moment to recognize, all is well, but I get to choose. So when we are moving through our experience about the day, we tune in to what is seeking to reveal itself through our lives. Inspiration and intuition is your GPS system. It is that divine impulsion that is your unique life seeking to express itself. When we take time daily, when we take time weekly, when we sit in the presence of God that is our very life and listen, imagine the possibilities. There's this woman, Janet Elkelman, she was on TED Talks, and her talk was Imagination to Reality. Now, Janet said she graduated from college, and she applied to art school, and 7 art schools rejected her. And she said, whatever, so she started painting on her own. And she was painting, and she was painting, she was expressing, she was doing her art. So number one step, she didn't take the rejection in. She kept allowing herself to express herself, seeing herself as an artist. She got a Fulbright scholarship to India. She arrived in this beautiful town by the sea. She arrived, but her paints did not. So instead of going into worry, instead of saying, I can't do this, instead of going, oh my God, she said she started walking the beach. Now, this town in India was known for its bronze sculpture. She goes, no, that's too heavy. Don't want to do that. So she just literally, and this is the part about imagination, this is a part about opening up, this is a part about turning it on. She just walked the beach in full awareness that something was getting ready to reveal itself. She just didn't know what, but she trusted. And so she walked the beach, she saw the fish nets that the fishermen were using, she looked at it and she was like, And in that moment, she saw in her mind's eye, her interior awareness, this sculpture in the sky with the fish nets. She didn't know how she was going to do it, but she knew she was going to do it. So she spent time figuring it out, and she worked with the fishermen, and they hauled this fishnet thing that she created, And she called this sculpture, and you'll have to see the picture, Wide Hips. She goes, it was a person, it was an autobiographical piece, you know. But she had it up in poles, and all of a sudden there's this sculpture with fishnets that no one had ever imagined. But because she tuned in, turned on her imagination, and listened, then all of a sudden there was this amazing sculpture. She did another piece like that in Madrid. And then there was somebody else that saw this piece and like, look, we want you to do this in Portugal. And she's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, you know. She goes, but I'm going to trust. I'm going to tune in. And sure enough, she spent 3 years learning different processes with the fishnets, finding this, you know, creating, I think she said it was like a 45,000. It was a circular piece that they had all, the cranes took up. And she said she had to stay open. And at every challenge, she had to trust her intuition. And every moment, she had to see it from within. And so she saw it complete before it was complete. She stayed true to her intuition. She stayed true to her imagination. And sure enough, it's this gorgeous sculpture that just, when it goes with the wind, it waves. And she had a friend who got all of her friends, and she said these people in business suits were suddenly laying on the grass underneath the sculpture, and all of a sudden they were open to the reverence and awe of life. She listened. So when we tune in to what is that divine urge, what is that divine impulsion that is seeking to express in, as, and through you, when you turn on your imagination instead of turning it off with worry, turning it off with doubt, when you can see in any situation, because imagination is not just about the arts, even though you see it expressed in the arts. The imagination is our everyday sacred. Every moment and every way we create our life. And so by using imagination, standing true in the power and presence that is God, we can see beyond bankruptcy. We can see beyond divorce. We can see beyond a relationship. We can see beyond a job that wasn't working. We can be in something that we like, but we want something greater. We can see beyond that. Imagination allows us to be open to the potentiality. So my mother and father are, you know, middle class, you know, they live on a fixed income, and, you know, my father's been retired for quite some time, and my mother has been this just magnificent, just exquisite expression of love, and she's standing there, and she's upset because they need new kitchen floors, they want the kitchen painted and the den painted, and she just is going on and on, that we're on a budget, we don't have money, okay, so worry, worry, closed door, closed door. And I sat there, and I walked her through the living room, and we stood right to the entrance to the kitchen, and she was right here, and I go, I want you to imagine your kitchen, Mom. What color is it? Oh, it's this beautiful, like, you know, sunshine, yellow. And then what color do you want this den? Oh, I see like a peach color. And what kind of floors do you want? Oh, I would love hardwood floors, but we can't afford it. I'm like, take that and put that over there. Now let's get back to the feeling. Okay, what do you see? What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you smell? Because she cooks for the entire family. And so in that moment, I was getting her to actually feel it, to step into it. She goes, but I don't know how it's going to happen. We don't have the money. How many times have we heard that? We don't have this. We don't have that. We don't have that. It's the blah, blah, blah. Throw it out the door. And I brought her back. I go, just stand here and see your kitchen complete. Can you just drop into your heart space, Mom? Can you feel it? And she did. And then the next day, she started worrying again. So I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew that moment that we had put that into the divine law. I knew in that moment that I didn't have it in my budget to do this, but you know what? There's no budget in God. God is infinite. And I stood there in prayer knowing this is done. This is complete. This woman is such a true example of love. And God is my source, and God is my supply. And I stood there in my imagination, seeing her cooking as she cooks for the entire family. My mom's Italian. So if you all come meet my mother, you'll be part of the family. She'll cook for everybody. And so what happened was 6 months down the line, there was a leak in the washing machine. So the leak in the washing machine ruined the wall, and then it leaked onto the floor. And because all of that was happening, what she thought was stress, I thought, oh, God shows up fabulously. Because what happened was the insurance company came over, and they're like, you know what, we're going to have to take that wall down. Oh, it ruined the floor. We're going to have to take the floor out. And you know what? All your floors are connected, so not only are we going to do the kitchen, not only are we going to do the den, we're going to have to go all the way into your bedrooms. Is that okay? Yes, you know. And guess what? My brothers didn't have to paint because the insurance company not only fixed the wall, brought in new floors, painted her kitchen, painted into the den, and on top of that, she had $2,000 extra that she could buy pillows and stuff for the house. That was the power of imagination brought into the law and standing in that holy, sacred yes. So here's the thing. It's not a head trip. Imagination is the heart. It's the embodiment. It's the full knowingness. It is when we anchor ourselves in the spiritual reality that is God. Because everything that we're seeking, so for my mother, the God qualities it's beauty, it's love, it's just her way of sharing her wisdom in the family. And so when we anchor ourselves first in these divine qualities, and then we allow our imagination to paint our world, to sculpt our day, to etch and sketch our life, the pure potentiality of who we are is expressed fully. It is fully supported by the universe. The law never says no. The universal law will take whatever it is, that impression, and we are using the law. There is a power for good. And when we dream it into being, when we use our imagination, when we tap into that good, the universe always and only says what? Yes. And that yes, that is that full embodiment, that full feeling, that full knowingness. In those moments you forget the yes, you call your practitioner. You call your best friend. But the power of imagination allows us to dream our world into being. Jean Houston, who is part of the Human Potential Movement, who is an exquisite writer, an exquisite speaker, her books are astonishing. And I listened to one of her talks on the Shift Network, and she talked about studying 50 people, some of the top innovators of our time. And she goes, what I noticed about each one of them, she said they were multi-sensory. The way that they would think, feel, taste, touch, bring things forth into being. She goes, it wasn't one-dimensional, it was multi-dimensional. She goes, they sensed things into being. It grew in their imagination. They worked things out. They worked details out, and then it came forth in, as, and through their lives. She says when we do that, we're putting this pattern, this mental pattern into the universe. And so the key is new thoughts, new mind, new possibilities, new way of being, new life. Every moment, the possibilities are yours just by your very nature. So Jean takes people on a journey that I'm going to take you on a very brief journey, but I really invite you to find Jean Houston. It's a sensory experience where you are bringing whatever idea it is that you have. Now, before we do that, there's always this little inner critic. It's that little voice that's like, you can't do that. What are you doing? Who do you think you are? You know, it's like, oh, what would mama think? You know, or you know what? I mean, nobody else is doing it in the world. What makes you think you can do that? That voice needs to go somewhere else. Sometimes the inner critic provides us with information, but you need to talk to him saying, you can't talk to me that way, honey. But what is it you're trying to share? Because there's wisdom there. Because you want to be in full, absolute flow of your holy, sacred yes. No matter what the world says, no matter, you know, just like Janet Elkerman, she had no idea how she was going to create this sculpture with fishness that's going to just wave in the wind. But she did it. And she did it with collaboration. So in those moments when that inner critic comes in, you've got to put it to the side. It's like, honey, you need to sit right here. I will talk to you later. But you want to go within. You want to drop into that heart space. It's the embodiment. That whatever vision you have for a new joy of being, whatever vision you have for a partnership, whatever vision you have for traveling the world, or just for redecorating your house, but for your life, so that you're living from the fullness of who you are. Because you are the one made manifest. Each one of us is necessary. Each one of us is the way that God gets to express. Each one of us is a perfect, whole, complete light of the one. And when we remember that, and we dream from that, and we imagine our lives from that, oh, how beautiful the world comes. So I just invite you just to take another deep breath with me, all right? And I just invite you just to get comfortable, close your eyes, and go within. We're going to go just on a little journey here. So we're walking down a pathway. And imagine that you see several doors. And each door represents some idea that you have that you've been wanting to manifest in your life. Door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, door number 4. But the invitation is to pick one. And whatever that one door is, I invite you to go up to the door and open it and enter. Whatever, I'm going to call it project, but whatever this project is in your life that you're seeking to demonstrate, walk into this room. And you're going to see like a buffet. We're going to move through the sense of taste. I want you to see, like, let's say there's a chocolate cake. Just give it a taste. Taste the chocolate cake in your mouth. And then there's some hot buttered popcorn. Now, if I say anything you don't like, act like you do. And taste that hot buttered popcorn. It just melts in your mouth. And then there's some, like, little mints. They're refreshing, they're light. So now that you've got this taste buds going, I want you to see to the right, there's this meal. And this is the meal that's your celebration meal once you've completed that project or whatever the idea is. And just have a taste of that. The deliciousness of it. Now, you're going to move slowly into this other room. And in this other room, there's this beautiful waterfall. Listen to the sound of the waterfall. Can you hear that? And now there's some wind chimes, the beautiful melodies of the wind chimes, and just listen. Open up your hearing. In the corner, there's this beautiful little baby. I think it's Julia. You can hear her giggling. Can you hear the giggles of Julia? And now I want you to listen. And what you hear is the celebration. You hear people talking about your project, your idea that you just completed. It's done. It's fabulous. You're hearing the celebration. Can you hear that? Now, we're going to get up and we're going to walk into the next room. And there's just this absolute exquisite aroma of jasmine. Can you smell that? And then right next to it, there is this tea that has cinnamon and orange spice, and it's just creating this beautiful aroma in the room. And just inhale it. Take it in. And just imagine whatever is your favorite flower, just imagine just breathing that in, and the sensation of your smell is just open. And just imagine that if the project had some kind of like smell that you could associate, like let's say jasmine or lavender, but that you can just smell it, this beautiful success, this absolute brilliance. Now, I want you then to go into this other room and just stand there, and there's this brilliant light, this golden light that is cascading upon you. And I want you to see that there's this beautiful window that's open, and there's this gorgeous, absolutely exquisite sunset. It's marmalade, it's painted whatever way you want. Just see it. And then look, there's your beloved. Look into your beloved's eyes who's shining in such joy, for this project is complete. And then see yourself standing there, congratulating yourself for whatever it is that you're seeking to express. It's done. It's fabulous. Now, in this moment, take all of that, the taste, the hearing, the smell, the tasting, and feel it with every ounce of your beingness. Feel it. It is a full embodiment of whatever it is that you're seeking to express. It is this energized energy, the vitalizing energy of God that's expressing in, as, and through you. Feel it. This pulsation that it is complete. This joy that how beautiful it is. The love that's expressing in, as, and through you. Can you feel it? That embodiment. Your heart is wide open. And how good it is to see this full fruition of the very thing that you imagined and desire. It is here. It is now. The invisible that is right here made visible. Now take another deep breath in. And as you exhale and you're ready, open your eyes. Turn to the person next to you, say, that my project is absolutely fabulous. Oh, let's hear a little more enthusiasm. Doing the I am, whatever it is you're seeking to express. Because you have to anchor it within your body. It is done. It is complete. Do you understand that you are the divine made manifest? Say, I am. The I am that is God is my life. All right, let's do a little bit more. All right, let's go. All right, so the strength of God is my strength. Let's get a little more energy here. My strength. The love of God is my love. The joy of God is my joy. I am a magnificent expression of God. All that I imagine is made manifest right here, right now. I shine my light. I dance to my gifts. I live with my heart wide open. And God, it is good. So it's with that I just invite you this week to imagine your life into the full manifestation that you desire.
I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.